take your shoes off, go out barefoot. And who cares if you get dirty? Who cares if you get muddy or anything? Just stand even. Go stand, go sit. And if you sit silent enough, you'll hear everything about nature.
Welcome to Wild Development Studio. Join us as we venture into the breathtaking realm of wildlife arts and untamed adventures. With captivating stories from the field and ideas to dive into the visual arts, we'll ignite your passion for conservation. Get ready to develop something wild.
Welcome to Wild Developments. I am your host, Lauren, and today we are diving into mental health and journaling with KariAnne VanWeelden. She is a public speaker bringing impactful attention to all aspects of mental health with humor and sparkle. Author of multiple journals and the children's book, I Don't Know Why, that her children illustrated. She coaches women seeking to find their voice, recovering from self-harm, manage anxiety, or explore new paths in life. She provides a safe and supportive space where clients can freely express themselves, heal, and grow. She creates tailored plans to help overcome obstacles, achieve personal growth, and gain the tools needed to build resilience, manage anxiety, and become the most empowered you. She recently opened a merch line centered around mental health, naming the store after what she has dubbed herself, your favorite hot mess. Welcome to the show, KariAnne. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I am too. We met through the Mic Drop workshop, and you are a speaker, a presenter. Can you tell us a little bit about what you talk on?
Yeah, sure. I speak on mental health, mental illness, overcoming the stigma, learning how to not necessarily give advice to people that are dealing with any type of mental illness. And really mental illness can be and I hate to say simple, but as simple as anxiety. So just learning how to just sit with people and learning that not everything regarding mental health is terrifying, is dark, but there are darker aspects. Of course there are, but learning how to just be able to be present in that moment. And there's different ways to go about things and not just automatically assuming that person needs more help than they do.
Yeah, a lot of times we feel like we always have to have the answers right away. And sometimes you're right, the answer is just as simple as sitting and being with that person and being in the moment. What advice do you have for someone that would like to be there for another going through a difficult time?
I guess I'm going to have to use it as a personal experience because I have anxiety and depression and all that fun stuff. For me, if I'm having like an anxiety attack of any sort, it's not trying to come in and give me advice or tell me, okay, do this or do that or do this. It's simply just to sit there and let me go through the motions. Let me have the anxiety attack. For me at least, it doesn't take super long. And just knowing that somebody is sitting right here, even if they're just sitting, sometimes it's bringing me a blanket, like my favorite blankie, or if you have a loved one that or a friend or a colleague that just is having a very hard time with depression, and instead of going over there and saying, well, let's go get you help, because that person more often than not has reached out to get help, and maybe they are in the middle of getting help, but going over there with their favorite snack or just saying, hey, you know what, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a swim in the lake if you live near a body of water, I should say. Or I'll just sit here with you and you can just sit with me. Like, we'll just be present. We'll just be together. No advice is given, no judgment. I think that's a big thing for me too, is there's so much judgment. And if you don't know about something, you can ask questions, but also like respect that person's boundaries. If they're having a hard time, just sitting with them even it's a simple thing. And it's probably one of the best things you can do for somebody that's going through something.
And that's really hard for us in a day and age where it's like we have to have instant gratification. We have to have the fix now, and everything has to be happy and perfect all the time. It's okay to have an ugly moment where, somebody might be crying or sobbing, or I'm looking behind your shoulder and there's a picture on your wall that says, sometimes this is what resilience looks like. And the person's just like hugging a pillow on the floor.
Mhm.
As a society, we're not used to embracing those moments.
And that's, I think, for everybody. I mean, I shouldn't say for everybody, but for everybody, I think it's hard to understand that about yourself, even like you were saying, like that. Sometimes just I have a hard time crying. I am not a good. I used to be. I used to just cry all the time about everything, but I'm getting to. It's almost like my heart kind of hardened up because I was so afraid because you are looked at so differently if you have any kind of mental illness or anything like that. You're looked at very differently, and so you've learned, like I've learned to just harden my heart, and I don't cry. And my husband has even said that to me, like, you haven't cried, like. And I was like, have you ever watched, oh, I don't know if I can say it. There was a show on, and there was an episode where she literally just wanted the afternoon just to cry. And my husband kind of makes fun of, not makes fun, but like made a joke about that. Like, you used to do that and I don't anymore because you're looked at so differently for doing that. So yeah, that picture is actually a good reminder for me to say, it's okay. You're allowed to sit down and just cry. No matter how ugly a cry you do, you're allowed.
And it's healthier to feel and process your emotions than to like, stuff them down.
Yeah, that's something that we have a hard time. I think we've learned that it's not acceptable, I guess, in our society. Is you have to be strong and you have to be tough. And back in the day it was boys don't cry, men don't cry. And so I feel like that generation's coming up and they're learning that, yeah, it's okay that I cry. It's okay that my feelings got hurt. I'm allowed to have those feelings. And I'm hoping that more and more people are learning that it's okay. And your friends, it's okay that your best friend happens to be a male in his mid 50s and he is just sobbing uncontrollably. You don't have to do anything. Just sit there like, hey, let me at least show you that I'm here with you, and I'll rub your back or whatever. And I don't know. I feel like it's just such a hard thing to talk about for a lot of people. And I am trying so hard to talk about it because not talking about it doesn't make it go away.
Right. Thank you to get out there and spread that message and to normalize it more. Absolutely. I see you've got a link to a journal that's available on Amazon. What inspired you to create a journal?
I journal a lot. I'm actually looking at two of my journals right here. So I try to have a journal or at least something to write on everywhere I'm going to be in my house, because sometimes that's the best thing for me. And I think that that's a good thing for people. So I wanted to create a journal, and actually I put little quotes in there and little like inspirational, like, hey, have you checked in with yourself? How are you doing today? I feel like I did a couple of different parts in there where it was writing a letter to yourself. I'm a huge write a letter to yourself. Dear me, you are strong and you're brave and you're resilient and you're smart and you're beautiful and all of the positive things. And then I have some that are, dear me, I'm really sorry that I didn't do XYZ. And you felt diminished or defeated. And so that's a big part of that journal too. And I think everybody should journal. Even if it's just, I mean, please buy my journal, but even if it's notebook paper and you have a spiral binder or whatever, or spiral notebook, just to journal, just whatever thoughts come into your head. And if you're angry, write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Why I'm angry, and come back to it in a week and say, oh yeah, I was angry about that, but I'm not anymore.
It really helps to process. Sometimes we don't always have somebody to talk to, or maybe you don't want to share those feelings outwardly with someone, and writing it down and going through the steps really helps you process. I had some journals where I wrote down like my accomplishments for the year. And if I'm feeling like, gosh, I'm not, I'm 42, I'm not at the place where I thought I'd be at by this stage of my life. And I look back at my accomplishments, I'm like, well, hot damn, I'm not doing a lot better than I thought I was, you know?
Yeah.
You need that reminder sometimes. And just there are a lot of times we talk so bad about ourselves. And I think writing it down, it's almost like there's another person there. And you know, if I catch my husband saying something bad about himself, I'm like, hey, don't talk about my husband like that. And we need that reminder not to talk about ourselves that way.
Yeah, big time. My kids, so I have two sons, they're 13. I had to think about that. They're 13 and 10. And my youngest is like my biggest, he's my hype man. So a little backstory, I'm an alcoholic, I'm in recovery. And so, you know, for much of his life, he only saw me drinking. And that actually was really hard to say, but it's true. So when I became sober, he became like my hype man. Like, you got this, Mom, you're great. And I mean, he was little still, like, I don't know, 7, maybe 6. Anyways, but so then when I started recovery and I started journaling a lot more, and I started doing like words, like, so my word of the year, say, was unstoppable. He would do sorry, that was just him. He would do his word as proud or brave, or so we talked about words, and he actually uses, like, proud, I'll say he used that to talk about a friend at school. Like, Mom, I was so proud of so-and-so today.
Aw.
And so it just instilling that has been such a big thing for me too, because like you said, you talk so badly about yourself. You don't think about that fact. Like, I do the very best I can do to not be like, God, I'm so dumb. Because no, I'm not. I'm not dumb. That was maybe a dumb decision. I did something that wasn't smart, but I'm not. Like, me in a whole is not dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to get 13, that's such a tough age, my goodness. So I'm trying to get them in that mindset of like, talk good about yourself, talk nicely. Not easy. I get that. So look in the mirror. What do you see? What do you like about yourself? What don't you like about yourself? What can you change?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with like social media. It's so, I don't want to see my kids fall into the same path that I did. And so I try really hard to let them like come to me and talk to me if you need to, but also like talk to yourself, because that's sometimes what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. Pivoting a little bit in your mental health journey, have you found that being outside has been healing for you at all?
Very much so. I quite enjoy, we have got some trails around us and I love going there. And funny enough, probably late summer, it was a Sunday afternoon and I was just in this terrible mood. Like, I was so angry and grumpy, and I looked at my husband, I said, I need to get outside. Like, I need to go. So he drove over to one of the trails that was nearest and we walked for like an hour, and it wasn't like a hike where you're like huffing it. It was just and I would find like a cool rock and like a bigger one, and I would just sit on it for a minute and just breathe in and say, oh, I needed this. Like, I needed to be out in nature and to, see the things. And there was like a little woodchuck that was waddling away, and I was like, so of course I'm calling to it, come here, I want to pet you, but that's not a smart idea. But I think nature is, we take that for granted. Like, you literally just go outside and you sit underneath the warm sun, or, I mean, if you get warm sun right now, we have sun. It's been like day 3 or 4 of sun and it's beautiful, but you sit on the warm sun, or like, I love to sit by trees. Like, we don't have very many trees in our backyard. Like, we've got 2 trees and they're like opposite of each other, but I like to go sit underneath one of those trees and just like, it's comforting. It's almost like you're getting a hug and just sitting there.
It's beautiful. Do you have a favorite memory in nature, like something that was just life-changing for you?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, I have a really funny memory.
Funny is good too.
My husband and I were on a hike at one of the trails that we love, and it was springtime, so it's kind of mucky and stuff. And so we were jumping over this, I mean, it was a large mud pit, and I got over it no problem. Like, I didn't jump over it because I was being smart, and like I found an area I could walk around. He thought he was gonna jump over it. His foot sunk in and his shoe came off because it got stuck in the mud. So he was, of course, not very happy. But it made it such a fun end because it was the end of our hike. It made it so much fun just to laugh because you thought you were being smart and you got stuck in the mud. I hear this and say, but it's true.
It's almost like quicksand, which we all thought was going to be so much more of a problem, right?
Right. I still this is really embarrassing, but I still, once in a while when I go somewhere, if I see like I won't go in it. I'm like, what if I get sucked in? So I'm like looking, is there a tree? Is there like a branch? Can I grab onto that if I fall in? And we're not. It's fine.
Growing up in the 80s, they make us think that there's quicksand everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to ask you a little bit more about journaling. How can we make it a habit? Because it is a little bit difficult for me to get into the habit of writing every day. What are some of your tips?
I keep some kind of paper that I can write on in literally every room except for the bathroom. That's not true. I have sticky notes in the bathroom, but that's not even related. Because I mean, well, bring your phone to the bathroom. Come on. But I have paper in every place that I'm going to be in the house. So for me, if I get an idea, I can write it down. But also you can put an app on your phone. No, don't do it by journals, but it's just like a little notebook app. And sometimes I'll just be sitting on the couch and I'll get upset about something, so I'll just quick type it out. But if you keep paper by you, even if it's like even just scratch paper, if you just have like some scratch paper and just write something down, like write down today, or at this point, I'm really angry, I'm really upset, I'm really happy, I'm really excited. And just kind of write about it. At some point, you'll get to a point where it's like a habit. I know for me too, I've kind of fallen out of the habit of this, but in the mornings, I would get up at like 5:30, 5:45, and I would make a cup of tea and I would just sit and I would just journal. I would just write for a little bit. And then I fell out of that habit because then I got really tired and I was like, I just want to sleep for a little bit longer. So I need to get back into that habit. But even if you can just, if you're, say you take a shower at 7:00 at night, give yourself an extra 15 minutes and then sit there while you're drying off and just journal about your day, or journal about something that made you really, really happy for the week. Or that's just what I do. But I love to write, and clearly I love to talk. So
That's good.
I do voice recordings too before I did anything. Like, so I'm on TikTok and I do it on TikTok. That's kind of my journal at some point. But I will turn my phone camera on video, and I'll put it so it's not like facing me, but it's just down, and I'll just talk.
Do you do like TikTok live?
I haven't done it yet. I mean, I could, but I haven't done it yet because I'm scared.
Yeah, I've not done it yet either because I'm honestly a little bit afraid of trolls.
Yes. And I don't know how I'd react. I'd either be really like, my feelings would be really hurt, or more than likely I would become a very not nice. And I don't want to be that way either.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not nice. But some people, you stop.
It's funny how mean people can be behind the veil of a screen, and they would never act that way face to face.
But some of them might.
Some of them might. That's right.
The sad thing. That's working in customer service.
Oh,
some of them might.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Oh, mama.
I bet you have a whole journal full of customer service experiences.
I do. I I might.
Do you have any plans to maybe publish a book someday with your journaling?
I do. I'm actually working on one.
Oh,
So
good.
I do have a book published. It just got published. It's a children's book, and it's called I Don't Know Why. And it's basically about emotions. And I'm really sad today and I don't know why. And they're angry and they're like just they want to throw things, and then dad comes in and saves the day because that's what dads do. But so I wrote it. It's an ebook, and it's also published like a hardcover and paperback that my kids illustrated, because I thought,
Oh,
how much fun is that?
well,
But
congratulations. That's so sweet.
but no, I am writing a book called Your Favorite Hot Mess, because that's what it is that's my tagline. When I did a podcast a couple years ago that I stopped doing, and and I do it on TikTok now too. It's Your Favorite Hot Mess.
I love it.
So
That's
yeah,
perfect.
I have it in the works. Have you written a book?
I have not. I've started to once upon a time, and it was a collaboration with other people, and the opinion shifted, so I had to bail out on that. I'm hoping to someday with Wild Developments.
Yeah, you should. You should.
Thank you.
It's the only thing that I'm having a hard time with is I, much like I do when I do TikTok, or when I like even talking with you, I don't have things in an order. Like I go all over the place. My point comes across eventually. It gets there, but it's not in order. So I'm like, that's hard to do when you're writing a book.
Yeah. Maybe you can do it like a choose your own adventure and have it at the beginning. Like, if you're feeling this today, flip to this page.
Yes.
It'd be fun. It'd be a new experience every time you read it.
That's a good idea. If I choose that path, I will let you know, and we'll collaborate on that.
Sounds good. And if I know we did the mic drop workshop together, she also does one on publishing a book. That was a little like 5-day boot camp. I think she does it every year. But this group in particular, I've connected with so many wonderful women. Like, because the one before, I didn't connect with anybody, but everybody in this group was just so wonderful.
Yeah, this was a nice group. This was fun.
It was a lot of
I
fun.
feel like everybody was trying to help each other out. It wasn't like, not that I feel like it would be, but like it didn't feel fake or forced. Like, okay, yeah, this is great. And then nothing. Like, I mean, I had a few that would comment on things and say, try this instead. And then I would try it. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it didn't feel competitive. You're right. It felt very much like everybody was trying to lift each other up.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
great.
really amazing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not a competitive person by nature, but I'm also like, I can be an envious person. So if I see somebody, I'm like, oh, I wish that was me, but this didn't feel like that at all. This was like, that's awesome. Great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. And I feel like as women, we need to do that more often.
Agreed, for sure. I want to ask, because I think we're close on time, where is your favorite place in the world to go to sit and be in nature?
Well, I live in Michigan, so you would think that I would say one of the Great Lakes, but that's not true because I do not like the beach. That's an odd thing to not like, but I'm not a fan of the beach. However, I will say, if my backyard I love, but if I want to do it, I want to be secluded. So there's a park near my house, and there's a trail. They have quite a few trails on it, but there's one that's a longer trail that if you go off, you can go to, like, I don't know if you're supposed to go to that side. I don't know if that's part of the trail, if it's just there, if it's like man-made and not like part. But there's this little spot, and it's quiet. You're literally just sitting, and you've got trees all around you. You hear the animals. I adore that area. I don't know if it's illegal for me to be sitting there, but I will go sit there. And sometimes you take your shoes off and just touch the ground with your feet and just breathe it in.
Sounds peaceful. And we need to normalize asking adults what their favorite animals are. So, what are your top 3 favorite animals?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. Crows. I love crows. Snakes. I had a snake that we don't have anymore, but I love snakes. Well, spiders are an animal, but so we'll go, okay, spiders, but we'll go with an animal. I guess dogs.
Cool.
I have cats too, though. I don't want to be rude. Dogs. We'll go dogs.
I think crows are really cool. There is a lady on TikTok, and if I come across her, I'll have to send her your way. She makes these little contraptions where crows can bring presents to her and then they get food in exchange. Have you heard of these?
Yes.
Do you
I,
follow?
no, but I've been wanting crows in my yard for so long because I want to be that neighbor. I want to be that, like, don't go over there because she has crows. Not really, but so I created this little space off my deck in the back that it's a planter box, but I put dirt in there and then I put some tinfoil because that's shiny and they come to shiny things, and I put food in there and I put a little water dish. And then my husband sweetly bought me some fake crows on a store. And so I put them there to like maybe get them to come over, like, hey, there's more. That did not work. I think it scared because I have 2 that are in my neighborhood and they are across at my kids' school. So I thought that they didn't like it. So I'm gonna have to find that lady and figure out how to do it because I want crows.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look her up and send that information your way because I think that is so fascinating. They are so smart in figuring things out. And I've heard stories where like a little girl dropped her bow and then the crow brought it to her house. It's like they're so smart.
Because where I work, it's in a restaurant. There are 2 crows in that area too. And if I have to open the store in the morning, all of a sudden I'll look up and I'll see one's over. I can hear the one over here, but there's one sitting that's always like right on this light post, right by where I park my car. And it's like it watches me go inside. It's protecting me. Maybe it's not, but I like to pretend like it is. It's protecting me, like, hey, but I might leave them food.
So then it's totally looking out after you, like, hey, is this lady bringing me some food? Yeah.
You better
You know what? They call out if there's danger or something, so they're totally protecting you.
I just love crows. And like snakes get such a bad rap. They're not bad. Snakes they're cute. And I mean, I get it. But as long as you don't poke at it and just, if it's scared, of course it's going to bite you, just like any animal.
Or if you smell like food.
Right. That happened to me a couple times with my pet snake, but even like with a dog, you scare a dog or a cat and it's going to nip at you.
Right.
Then snakes aren't, they're itty. Not all of them, but they're scared.
Yeah. And I used to work at a place with animals, and we'd always used to say anything with a mouth could bite, even me.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. We are almost out of time. Before we go, how can people find you?
The Beacons page, I don't remember what that address is, but I think the easiest way is on TikTok, just because I make videos on there, and my handle on there is KariAnne VanWeelden. So it's KariVanWeelE, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I will tag your Beacons page and your TikTok in the description of this show, so people can just click right over there and check you out. And then what would be one tip that you have for someone that would like to connect with nature?
Just go do it. Take your shoes off, go out barefoot. And who cares if you get dirty? Who cares if you get muddy or anything? Just stand even. Go stand, go sit. And if you sit silent enough, you'll hear everything about nature. Don't be afraid of the bees flying around. They're not coming to get you. They're not going to come sting you. They're doing their job. Just go sit. Doesn't have to be anything big. In your front yard. Just go take your shoes off and stand in your front yard, or sit in your front yard and just sit quietly.
You inspired me. I'm going to go do that. It's 60 degrees here.
Yeah, we just hit like 58 or something today. I'm so excited.
Oh gosh, got to take advantage of this nice weather while it's still technically winter, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This was nice.
And until next time, get outside and see what develops.
Thanks for joining Wild Development Studio. We hope this exploration into the world of wildlife arts and adventure has sparked a desire to get outside and connect with something wild. If you have an adventure that's awe-inspiring, don't hesitate to share. Click the link in the description to submit your story to have it featured on our show or be a guest. Until next time, keep connecting to the wild and see what develops. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in any such activities. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.